Today I want to talk about NBA 2K26. On this channel, don't expect a lot of 2K talk, but it's been on my mind a ton lately just because the game's right around the corner. We'll be getting it in late August, which is the earliest we have ever seen a 2K game come out, and I've got some goals that I want to go over, kind of reflect on 2K25, and maybe even talk about some things that I hope we see in the new game. First of all, let's flash back to the beginning of NBA 2K25. I had my goals set high. I came into 2K25 with about 60,000 subscribers, and I wanted to hit 150,000 subscribers by the time 2K26 rolled around. And well, we've destroyed that goal. It looks like we're gonna hit 250K before 2K26 over on the Danny 2K channel, which is just awesome, man, and I gotta thank y'all for that a ton. I really do appreciate it if I don't say it enough. I also had the goal of uploading at least 365 videos. We destroyed that, probably uploaded 400 plus just on the main channel, and we had some second channel content and the third channel. I mean, we were doing a lot. So now I kind of want to talk about my goals for NBA 2K26. The new game's about to roll around. What do I want to accomplish? Well, I want to double up our community this year. I want to go from 250K to 500K, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all and talk about some of the limitations I think that there might be going into this year. I worry that the reach of 2K and specifically my content might not be big enough to get to 500K, because guys like, shout out to my dog Med, who does these really cool cinematic videos. His reach might be a little bit further than mine because it appeals to more casual NBA fans just due to the incredible quality. I mean, these videos are like movies. It could appeal to people who aren't NBA fans, and I'm posting daily content that, obviously isn't as high quality as the stuff he does. I am posting a lot more than him, but I understand that maybe my stuff doesn't appeal to as many people. So reaching 500K off this style of content on 2K in 2025 going into 2026, I wouldn't hit 500K in 2025, right? That would be ridiculous. I don't think that's gonna happen. But trying to hit that in 2026 off 2K, my NBA content, I definitely see a bit of a limitation there. Nonetheless, I hope we can do it. I also set a goal of uploading at least 400 videos. That means uploading more than one video a day on average throughout the next year. And I think that's possible because we had many days, especially in the off season when news was really cracking off, where I was uploading multiple videos. So I don't think uploading 400 videos is going to be a problem. And I also think that that's my biggest strength, being super consistent, sticking to it, figuring out what works. We talked about that a lot in the previous video about how the channel grew over this past year. And I talked about how just getting those reps in is really key for me. Now, to really talk about the game of 2K26 as a whole and some of the things that I want, first off, I'm not really going to speak on my career or my team because personally I don't care too much about those. I definitely will make a my player build, and I've considered doing a my career series, but I'm going to be honest with y'all, man, I don't really care too much about the storyline. I don't think it's something that would be super engaging to y'all because I enjoy rebuilding teams. I enjoy doing that, and I think that passion does come through. In my career, man, you're not going to see much passion from me. I don't really care for it all that much. Same thing with my team. I love opening the packs and doing the occasional video for y'all where we're opening packs and then putting the team in my league. That's super fun. But as far as making actual my team content, I'm so good on that, man. And then play now's cool. I'll play a play now game here or there, but I'm not going to make content off that either. I think my forte is my NBA, and that's what I want to stick to going into 2K26. Just for the sake of clarity there, that's what we're looking at. With all that said, what are some things that I want to see in NBA 2K26 My NBA? Because I think there's a lot that could be improved, and we'll be getting some official My NBA news, I think within the next week or two, I want to say. I actually put out a tweet not too long ago talking about things I'd want to see in 2K26 My NBA, and I think a lot of it begins with salary and trade logic, right? When you look at the trade system in 2K, it's too easy to trade role players just to get draft picks. You could trade a guy who's a 75 and get a first round pick, maybe even 2 if you're lucky. That doesn't make sense. You don't see trades like that in real life. So I'd love to see the trade system get a revamp. And I understand a lot of this is wishful thinking, but it's always fun to talk about what what you'd like to see in an upcoming game. Also, progression. I think progression is too crazy in 2K. You see guys hit 90 overall who, with all due respect, based on what we've seen from them in their careers, have no reason to be hitting 90 overall. We're just giving all of these players super high potential, which I think should be dumbed down a little bit, and that also leads in to contract expectations, right? Since all these players have such high potential, it leads into them wanting a lot of money on their contract, probably more than they should be getting. And then what happens is all these guys get super high overalls, they all want a bunch of money, and then you've got 90 overalls sitting in free agency by the time you get to the 5th, 6th year of your sim. And sometimes this even happens if you make your own custom contract sliders. These issues will still present themselves. So I'm hoping that that is fine-tuned going into this year. Another thing that I think has been an issue for 2K for quite some time is shot tendencies, right? You've got guys like OG Anunoby, Jalen Johnson. Who else can I think of off the top? There's 2 names, right? These guys have super low shot tendencies in 2K, and as a result, average numbers that are just way lower than what you'd see from them in real life. And also, as players get older, it seems that their shot tendencies will regress, and then they start scoring the ball less, like way less. Sometimes you'll get deep into the sim, Wemby's barely averaging 10 points per game and when he's 34. Like, are we serious? Wembanyama's, even barring a crazy injury, and I do my sims for the most part with injuries off, so he hasn't gotten hurt, and he's averaging only just over 10 points per game. Are we serious? I just don't really see that happening, right? So I think that's something that could be improved. And I'm not saying this to dunk on 2K or, talk trash about the game. I'm just, bringing this forward as a wish list, as some constructive criticism, if you will. Another thing that's been implemented in the NBA recently, and we haven't seen in 2K, is the first and second aprons. Now, what these do is they'll greatly limit your ability to build out your roster. We've seen these teams at the second apron, like the Boston Celtics, have to make these moves to get off of salary so that they can continue as a team. Because you're so limited by these aprons that you almost got to get out of them at some point. And I understand that to the casual player, playing with aprons might not be that fun, which is why I think having a mode where you can play a little more hardcore My NBA, more realistic My NBA, and then a little bit of an easier dumbed down version would be super cool. Because some people just want to go in there, make their trades, have a fun time. Others want to really go hard and have an ultra realistic experience. Next thing I want to talk about is the buyout market. In the NBA in real life, we've seen some crazy buyouts. Damian Lillard just got bought out by the Bucks. DeAndre Ayton was bought out by the Trailblazers. These moves kind of came out of nowhere. So I think it'd be cool if maybe veterans who are unhappy in your simulation, they start asking for buyouts, and all of a sudden in the middle of the season, they hit free agency. I also think that free agency, and this was something that was in an older 2K, I think it was 2K14. I play a lot of 2K14, or I have played over the past year, so I played quite a bit of 2K14, because I really like the My GM, and I think it's really cool. But what they would let you do is if you were a contending team, you could sometimes convince star players or really good role players to take discounts to play for you, which you don't really see in the modern 2K. I think that's another thing that would be a really cool feature in NBA 2K26 for My NBA. Also, CPU gameplay. When you jump in the game, it feels like the CPU oftentimes does some stupid stuff. We've talked about the timeout glitch, which is something that happens all the time, where let's say there's 2 minutes left in the game, a team's got 3 timeouts left. They'll probably call 2 or 3 of those all in a row without even playing. Like, they just inbound the ball, call timeout, rinse and repeat. And that interrupts the flow of the gameplay. Sometimes there'll be 5 seconds on the clock and a guy just walks the ball up the floor, doesn't even rush, so they end up taking a half-court shot when you had 5 seconds to get the ball across the floor. That's enough time for an NBA athlete to make it across the floor, right? If they're running, if they're sprinting, if they're playing hard. And obviously they should be given the situation. I had to find my other tweet with more stuff I wanted in 2K26 My NBA. And this one's really cool. The ability to make 4, 5, or even 6 team trades. Right now, the limit is 3 teamers. And I feel like making 3 teamers is so difficult. Well, which it should be. Getting 3 teams involved in a deal in real life is tough, but sometimes the trade logic in those 3 teamers just seems flawed. So I hope that we get an expansion in terms of the amount of teams you can make deals with and how realistic those deals are. But with that, we need more than, 6 or 7 trade slots that we have in the trade menu right now. We need more than that if we're going to be making these big deals. So hopefully next year, even if we don't get, 4, 5, 6 team trades, hopefully we get the option to have more slots to put picks or additional players in a trade. Because sometimes you feel like, man, I'm so close to getting this deal done, I just don't have enough room. And oftentimes in real life, you'll see trades that involve, 3 players and 5 picks. Well, not often, but blockbuster deals will involve all these players and all these picks that you can't even replicate that deal in the game because you won't have enough trade slots. Also, I think Start Today should get updated more often. Sometimes it feels like Start Today's kind of behind. And Start Today's a really cool idea. As long as it stays up to date, man, it's super fun. You can start from that moment. You can start from today. You get what it means. But yeah, man, all that to say, I am super excited for 2K26. As long, man, listen, if we can just get, one thing I'm excited about, which sounds stupid, is a new UI, a new user interface for my NBA, right? I'm really hoping we at least get a game that looks different. Even if there isn't a lot different about it, as long as that thing looks different and graphically, the game looks a lot different. But I mean, like, when you're scrolling the menus, if the menus look different, that would be awesome to me. You don't understand how long I've spent looking at the same menus on the same game. Man, I am so excited for 2K26 to come around. And of course, I didn't even say this, but how did I not say this already? Oh my gosh, I hope we get a new era in 2K26 my NBA. If we could get like a Bill Russell era. Now, Bill Russell was not in the game this past year. Also, rest in peace to Bill Russell, but Russell was not in the game this past year. If they could get him back in the game and make a Bill Russell era, or maybe even do something in the 70s and have like a Kareem era, having the ability to start from the 60s or the 70s and do your rebuilds could be crazy. And even if the rosters aren't that complete due to, player likeness issues, usually roster creators fill those things out really well anyway. So if they could just drop something that started in the 60s, had all the historical changes over the years, the roster makers will fill the rest in and we'll be smooth. And the oh my gosh, all the content I can make with that stuff would be crazy. So I really hope we get a new era starting in the 60s, the 70s, some old school basketball. Even if we got, I don't know, a bubble mode or something where you could start from 2020 and you could play in the bubble with the Disney World court or whatever. Just something new, man. Something new would be super awesome. So excited for 2K26, dog. I know we're getting the My NBA preview, like I said, next week, 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't know. But man, I am waiting very excitedly. I'm hoping for the best because the only thing we found out so far is that there's dynamic banners. Like when you win championships, the banners in the arena will change. I'm hoping we get more than that, man. I really am. Because I mean, they didn't talk about all this cool stuff they're doing with the My Player Builder, and then we saw that all drop and people were really excited. I haven't really delved too much into that. I'll probably just make my build off good vibes and excitement. That's usually what I do, man. I just make my build how I want to make it. I don't watch these YouTube videos. I just make my build and have fun playing. So, that's probably why I'm buns at the game. Nonetheless, well, it's more of a skill issue. But anyway, man, 2K26, we love basketball. Like, subscribe. Second video on the burner account. Let me know if there's any other stuff you want to hear me talk about. It can be real life stuff. It can be, I don't really want to talk about too much 2K on here. I do a lot of 2K stuff, but 2K26 was just on my mind. All right,